Well, the one thing you haven't said tonight that you always say is that it's 100% certain that we're going to have a terror attack, and I agree with you on that. It's 100% certain. I mean, we're letting terrorists into our...
I pray I'm wrong. I pray
we're letting
God
terrorists
I'm wrong.
into our country at a level that we've never seen before.
We'll keep you fully contemporaneously informed. Thank you.
Have you spoken to President Trump? Will you visit New Orleans? Have you spoken to President Trump?
Investigated as a terror attack?
The FBI team and our law enforcement partners here are also reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance and other video from both the French Quarter and other locations. As for a timeline, at this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
Let's bring in Tom Homan now, the incoming Trump administration border czar. Tom, great to have you here. And I want to get to New Orleans again in just a second, but we just got this fresh information out of Las Vegas, and the police chief there giving us a lot of new details. I want to get your reaction to. He characterized what they're learning on the ground there in Las Vegas as a with a bombing that occurred immediately thereafter. They're not aware of any other subjects involved in that case. While they are aware of the similarities to the person who carried out the attack in New Orleans, they are not able to directly tie these two events together. They have no evidence that they are tied together, but they do not believe any further threat from that particular incident is out there at this time. What was your reaction to what you heard?
Well, look, I think the further the investigation goes, I think they are going to find a connection between the two incidents.
This explosion happened directly outside the Trump International Hotel here on the Las Vegas Strip on what is one of the busiest 2-day periods of the year for tourists, a key focal point for visitors to this city. It also happened just a matter of hours after that truck ploughed into the crowd in New Orleans. So naturally, questions being asked about whether these two incidents are linked. And police, for the moment, saying that they believe this explosion of that Tesla Cybertruck in Las Vegas is an isolated incident. But that doesn't mean that there's not a connection between the individuals driving those two vehicles. And that is something police are trying to ascertain if they did know each other, if they did have any previous links.
All of a sudden you just sat here and hear the sirens and people screaming, then moments later you just hear a couple gunshots. And it was just so surreal.
Well, I'd heard a noise, turned around, I could see like a car flying down the road and it's not right to talk about it.
Well, look, I think the further the investigation goes, I think they are going to find a connection between the two incidents. But look, they're both events. The man in New Orleans certainly had no plans to going home for getting out and trading gunfire with law enforcement. So I think both these men realized they weren't going home after this event. But the threats aren't over. I've been on this network for 4 years talking about the threats coming across our southern border. And, we got a record number of known gotaways. Over 2 million people enter this country. We don't know who they are or where they came from or what their purpose to come to this country. They weren't vetted. They weren't screened. They weren't fingerprinted. We don't know who they are. And since the Border Patrol and CBP arrested well over 300 people on the watch list, how many of that 2.2 million who escaped apprehension, who escaped vetting, who escaped fingerprinting, came from a country sponsoring terror? Even Christopher Wray, the director of FBI, said numerous times under testimony in front of Congress that this is the biggest national security vulnerability he's seen. I agree with him. So we're not out of the woods. This country is in grave danger. We need to secure that border. And despite what's happened the last 2 days in Las Vegas and in New Orleans, this administration is not stopping. They're still releasing thousands of people every week through the CBP-1 app, the CHMV program, and Border Patrol continues to release people in this country without proper vetting. This is not a good thing, and I can't wait for the new administration to take power and secure this border and protect our national security.
Well, the police chief was asked about the incident in Las Vegas, if they had seen any motivation and inspiration from any group. They had not identified anything there yet, I should say, at least. They said they're very heavily still in the middle of that investigation. But to the point in New Orleans and the FBI update that we all just got a short time ago, the FBI confirmed that the suspect in New Orleans posted videos online Tuesday night claiming that he had joined before the summer and provided a will and testament. So they did confirm that he was indeed inspired by that group to carry out that vicious, violent, heinous act and attack there in New Orleans.
Well, that brings another issue. I think the incoming administration needs to look at insider threat. I mean, insider threat analysis has been put in the back seat by this administration. If we got 2 people who served in the military that were that committed these terrorist acts. We need to really dig down into insider threat in our military, in our federal service, whether it's the FBI, whether it's other agencies, whether it's the military. Insider threat's a big issue, especially in our industry that has infrastructure responsibilities. We need to drill down and find out about this inspiration and what insider threat is currently in the United States government, military, and in the United States government service, and address them right away. We got to address insider threat. We have to. We can't let this go on any further.
Tom, just to circle back there, you said earlier, and you just referenced again a connection there in Las Vegas. The police chief said they haven't identified that, but to your point, you said you believed as this investigation carries out in Las Vegas that I believe you just said you believe they will find a connection. Do you have any other information, or have you been privy to any other information other than what we just directly heard from the police there in Las Vegas?
No, I don't. This is a gut feeling. I've done this for 3.5 decades. I just think there's too many similarities, too much coincidence. I think something down the road they're going to show there's some sort of connection, whether it's this, they got whether it's some same network or where they got the tools to pull these attacks off. I just feel like there's going to be something down the road, and I could be wrong. It's just a gut feeling I have.
Got it. Well, we know that they're going to keep us posted as that investigation continues. And Tom, we appreciate your time today.